that you have everything drawn, you are going to start to watercolor those. Now, if you don't have watercolor paints, that is okay. You could use markers, you could use crayons, you could use colored pencils. It is up to you. If you were using those things, be sure to make this colorful and to stay inside your lines really nicely and create a beautiful artwork. If you have watercolors though, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to go about painting. When you go to paint this, you're going to want to paint your objects first. When you paint your objects, it is a good idea to paint one thing on one object, such as the hair that I'm painting now, and then jump to another object while this brown paint dries. So I have her hair painted. So instead of going right to her face right away, I'm gonna let this dry. Because if I were to paint those two colors right next to each other while this is still wet, they could bleed together and mix and make a muddy mess. I am going to paint the hat that represents me getting my master's degree with this maroon color. I'm going to Kutztown, and this would be the color of their hat when I would graduate from there. Notice I kind of painted over top of my tassel. That's okay. I'm gonna go back later and I am going to paint that tassel in with black, but I'm not gonna do it now because if I did, the colors might mix and bleed together. Paint this in. Be sure that you're using a good amount of water with your watercolor paints so that you get nice smooth lines when you're painting. Now, I painted the hair, I painted the hat. I'm gonna jump to one more thing before I go and paint the face on this girl. I'm gonna paint the mountains over here, this nice light gray color. And now at this point, I could go back and paint the girl's face. Her face, I might have to mix up a color for her face, so I'm gonna mix some colors over here in my paint palette. I'm mixing a little bit of yellow and a little bit of brown together and the tiniest bit of red. I'm gonna make sure that's really watered down, and then I'm going to paint this girl's face. I think I did a pretty good job mixing my skin tone color. There we go. Now remember, don't go paint that shirt right away. You want to jump to another place on your artwork that does not have wet paint near it and paint that. Your goal for this week is to completely paint all your objects of your watercolor artwork. When you get that finished, you need to paint one color for the background. One color. And you should pick a color that you didn't use a lot of in your objects. So right now, I would suggest that a good color for me would be yellow. That's a color I haven't used yet. And I know that I'm gonna be using green in here and blue in here, so yellow is a good option for me. Here is my finished creation. Well, I say finished, but I might go back and add a few more details. I really like how it turned out, and I think it is going to look wonderful underneath my self-portrait, expressing myself of who I am today, as well as things that I want for my future. I have a version of myself that you would see today, and hopefully a version of myself that you could see in the future. When I put these two works together, my artwork is finished, and I am so proud of how it turned out. I love this self-portrait, and I hope you love your self-portrait too. When you are all finished with your artwork, I just took two little pieces of tape and taped them up here at the top, one about here and one right here. I hope you had so much fun creating your expressive self-portrait. I can't wait to see your portraits when you post them on Google Classroom. So be sure to do that. Take a picture and upload it to Google Classroom for your grade. I can't wait to see what you create.